Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Angel from Simply Angel Tia. In this video we're gonna be working on long pants, okay? And as you can see here, I use two colors. I use a black and gray, and this is pretty much the alternation that we do for this section for the rest of the pants here. But you will also see that I actually end up reducing it as it kind of goes towards our knee, so that it stays a little bit slimmer in the bottom, so that it's not necessarily buggy all the way to the bottom. So I will talk about how you will decrease and how many rows you decrease in, and how you decrease it to be able to get the leg to go down like this, as opposed to it staying as wide as the thigh area here. So as you can see, the thigh is a little bit on the wide side, and then as you go down it gets thinner, just because I wanted it to be a little bit more of a fitted pants as opposed to buggy. Okay, so this is what we're gonna be working on. Let's go ahead and gather our materials and get started. Okay, my lovelies, so before we get the project started, I'm gonna show you the materials that we're using. And as you can see here, I have my two color yarns. So this is, as you can see, obviously there's a black and there's this like charcoal or dark gray. So these are the colors that I'm going to be alternating for these pants. Azurite is the brand that I use. It's 100% acrylic and it's Azurite by Timmins. 100% acrylic. It's a lightweight number 3. This is 140 meters or 50 grams for a skein like this. And the recommended hook size is 3.5 to 4 millimeter crochet hook. Okay, so these company go by color number. So for this here, the color number is 0585, and of course all the details are the same for this one. The color, however, is 3077. Okay, at the end of the video, I will tell you how much yarn I used, and I'll tell you how much of each of these color that I used, in case you want to know. Okay, I'm going to be using, however, a little bit of a bigger hook size. I'm using a 5 millimeter crochet hook, or H8 US, and that is just a preference. So you can either follow the recommended hook size, or you can use the hook that is most comfortable for you. And in this case, 5 millimeter is my go-to usually. Okay, I have my scissors here to be able to cut my strands. I have a darning needle to join my ends, as well as weaving in the ends, and I have stitch markers to be able to mark where I want to remember where something is, and of course a tape measure to be able to determine the size. Okay, so with all that said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, my lovelies, so to begin the project, I'm going to be starting with this black color, and this is where I will do the band for our pants. Okay, so I often leave a small tail so that we can use it to join the two sides of the band together. And so not too long, just something like that. And I'm gonna try my best to make sure you guys see here. This is why I'm recording kind of like in a very bright day, so that I can show you guys how to do it, because this black color is not very good to see. It's not very clear to see, and I don't have another background beside this to be able to show you guys. So, but I've done many projects like this. I've not had any complaints about not being able to see properly. But as you can see, I have my yarn here, so I'm gonna loop it around my thumb to be able to do my slip knot, just like that. And now that I have my slip knot completed here, I'm going to go ahead and do a chain that I want for the wideness of my band. And as you guys know, I often go with the same number. I go with 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so this is my chain of 11 here, and this is going to be the wideness of my band. Okay, so if you want your band to be shorter, do less chains. If you want it to be longer, do more chains. Okay, or wider. I'm gonna pivot my work like this. I'm gonna skip this 11th chain because it's the one where my working yarn is coming through, but in the next one right to the left of it, I'm going to grab the back loop and complete a single crochet. So for those of you who are the lovely members of the channel and have watched a lot of videos, you will know exactly what I'm doing here. Okay, and then in the next, I am going to go in the back loop and grab that and do a single crochet, and then into the next stitch and do a single crochet, and into the next, and then we're going to do this all the way to the end. Okay, so very simple just to start the band. is going to be it's going to be pretty much single crochets that we're going to be doing for the band, and it's going to be back loop single crochets because we want to create that elasticy feeling, very, very, very stretchy, so that it's very easy for us to be able to have a fit that is not too tight. And as you can see here, I'm going towards the end. Okay, so that's my first row of single crochets, and that is the band. Okay, so let me just do a little bit of measurement here really quick. So if I take my tape measure here, I use inches. So if I place this down like this and I place the tape measure on top, I am at 2.5 inches. Okay, so about, yeah, 2.5 inches for the width of the band. So this is gonna be how it goes, like this. Okay, so if you want the band of your pants to be wider than 2.5 inches, then you will have to do more chains at the beginning, and if you want it to be smaller, then you do less chains. Okay, and it doesn't matter with the number of chains, that doesn't matter at all. Okay, and then we're gonna do chain 1 to start the second row. We're gonna turn, and then this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So in that same stitch where we brought the chain 1 from, we're gonna go in the back and grab the back stitch and do a single crochet. Okay, and then we're gonna grab the back loop for the next one, do a single crochet, and then we're gonna grab the back loop again. So this is where we begin our back loop single crochets, and this is going to be your repeat row until you create the size that you want for the band. And I don't tell you guys how many rows to do per size, because all the wearables that I do, it's kind of like measure to fit type of thing. I find that is very deceiving sometimes to say do this many chains to get this size, do this many chains to do this size, because often you don't end up kind of coming up with accurate number. I try to do this at the beginning of the channel, and a lot of people are coming back to me and saying, I did this number of chains that you said to do for this size, but it's either too big or it's too small. So based on the type of yarn that you're using, based on the size of yarn that you're using, the size of hook you're using, the tension of your work, it can all kind of just end up giving you different sizes that is not even something that you're aiming to get. So what I do is I just tell you guys how to measure to fit. That way you don't go wrong with measuring what size you want. You get the size that you end up making. So anyways, there's one more stitch at the end here. So I'm gonna go and do single crochet, but going through both loops for that final stitch. And this is just a preference of mine. You can do it in the back loop as well for you if you want to. For row 3, we're gonna start by doing a chain of 1, which again doesn't count as a stitch, and then we go on and continue to do our back loop single crochets. Okay, so we go ahead and just do this all the way to the end. At the end, I go through both loops. If you don't, just go through the back loop as well for your final one, and you should have 10 stitches that you're working with in this part of the project. Okay, so go ahead and complete that. When you have reached the length that you want or the circumference that you want, then come back to the video and I will show you how to move on to the next step. So let me talk a little bit about the sizing here. So for these shorts, for these pants, I keep saying shorts, but I don't know why, we're making pants. So for these pants, you're just going to take your tape measure, and what I do is I just take the widest part of my hips and I take my tape measure and I loop it around the widest part of my hips like this. Okay, so whatever size that you are or the person you're making it for, just make sure you get the circumference of the widest part of their hips. And then let's say, I'm giving an example, let's say it's 20 inches around the widest part of their hips like this. Then what you will do is you will create the band here that will stretch up to 20 inches. And by stretch, I mean when you work your band like this is a very stretchy stitch. Like when you do this back loop single crochet, it's very stretchy like this. So what you will do is you will take it and just stretch it, and it should come up to 20 inches at minimum. Okay, because if it's 20 inches, it's very tight. So often what I do is I add a couple of more inches to make it so that it fits properly when it comes up the widest part of my hips. Okay, so go ahead and do that. When you have gotten the size, come back, and then we will go ahead and move on to the next step together. See you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and created the band for my pants here. So as you can see, this is what I have. Look at the stretchiness of this. It's so stretchy. This is exactly why I said stretch it when you measure it, because if you don't, you will create a band that is way too big for the size that you're looking for. Okay, so just to talk about how many rows I did 92 rows altogether here, and these 92 it's the size that I'm looking for. So just so I can tell you guys what I don't tell you how many rows or stitches or however to do. So the circumference of the widest part of my hips is 40 inches. Okay, so 40 inches is what I was aiming for. And with sometimes, depending on what type of yarn I use, I could end up doing 90 rows and it fits me. Sometimes I could end up doing 100 rows and it's the size that I'm looking for. In this case, in terms of this, using this hook, using this type of yarn, I needed to just do 92 and it goes around my hips very comfortably. And what I did was instead of doing 40 inches, I did 40 inches and it fits very, very well. It's comfortable. I don't even have to do any more extra to make it come up the widest part of my hips. So 20 inches is exactly what I needed, and 92 rows here. Okay, so, and as you guys have probably seen with other projects, I've been able to do 100 rows. I've been able to do I think at one point I did 88 rows. So it all depends on the type of yarn that you're using, the intensity, the size of hook you're using. So this is again why I don't say how many rows or how many stitches to do per size. Okay, so this is what I have here. If I fold it in half, this is what I got. And so I am going to go ahead and join the two sides here. Okay, so you just fold your work in half, and I always work with even numbers, and because it's even, I am able to fold it like this. Okay, I have my hanging yarn here that I left at the beginning, and I'm going to use that. So I take my darning needle and I'm going to do that, put that in here, and then I'm going to join pretty much from here to here to make it so that it's a full circumference, and then we can work from the top down. Okay, all right, so now that I have this here, I hope you can see. So I go into the both loops of on this side, okay, the side that is closest to me, and then I go through the both loops on the side that is furthest from me on the other side, and I just take my my darning needle and yarn, I just pull like that. And what I do is I go through that one more time, but this time I take this yarn and I loop it around the darning needle and I pull it. And what this does is it just does almost like you're doing a chain one and pulling here, or like a slip knot, and it just secures that section here. And then for the rest of it, I'm going to grab the first loop closest to me here, and I'm going to grab the loop furthest from me on the second side, and then I'm going to go and pull. And from this point on, you can pull, but don't pull too much, because you need to be able to not have it wrinkle, because if you pull it too much, it wrinkles up on you and then it doesn't look very cute. Okay, and then you just go ahead and so the closest to me and the furthest to me on the other side, just like that. Okay, so you go ahead and do your joining here, and because you have 10 stitches, all of your stitches should line up without any problem. So you should not have one less or one more extra stitch on each side. They all should line up very well. Okay, and as you can see, I'm coming towards the end. So this is my 9th stitch right here. And then as you can see, for my 10th stitch, I'm going to go through the both loops here, and then of course the both loops on the other side like this, just like we did at the beginning. And then I pull and I do it one more time. Again, I just repeat exactly what I did at this side, and then I loop my yarn around like this, and I bring that through and I pull. Okay, So this is where we just joined right here, and as you can see, it kind of covers very well. If we need to fix something like this where there's a little bit of a gap, maybe I didn't pull too much, we can just use this to come and redo it here at a later time. But for now, I just take my darning needle off, put it away, and I have my pants like this, or the band of my pants like this. Okay. All right, so now that we have that, I am going to start working around, and this is going to start pretty much where the pants, still gonna start to work downwards, because what's gonna happen is we're gonna have our pants like this, then we're working it down like that. Okay. All right, so just preparing my yarn here, and then we'll go ahead and start, and we're gonna change the color really soon because I want to do these pants in stripes, so that I have black stripe, and then we do the gray, and then we do the black, and then we do the gray. But for this first stitch here, we're going to do it in the black color just to kind of neat up the work here. So I'm going to do a chain of 1, which doesn't count as a stitch, and I'm going to go into that stitch here and do a half double crochet, just like that. Okay. And then I'm going to go into the next area here. I'm going to complete a half double crochet, and I'm gonna go into the top of this area here and do a half double crochet, and then in the middle, this section here, do a half double crochet, and then the top, do a half double crochet, and then I just continue with that pattern all around. And as you can see, again, there's no stitches to work with here, but what we're doing is in this kind of lumpy area here, there's 2 stitches, or there's 2 rows of the single crochet. So we're just making sure we have a stitch that is corresponding to each of those rows, and at the end I should have 92 stitches around here, because we had 92 rows of the single crochet. I should have 92 rows coming around all the way to the beginning here. Okay, so go ahead and complete this single double crochet, half double crochet stitches all around. When you get back to here, come back to the video, and I will show you what to do for the next step. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed my row here of half double crochets around the band, and as you can see, I just came back to the end. I have my 92 rows or my 92 stitches to correspond with the 92 rows that we have for the band. And now what I will do is I will just slip stitch on top of that chain that we started the row with, but I will actually leave it like this because we're changing the color from here. So I will leave that like that. I will grab my scissors, and I will cut the yarn somewhere here. I'm very stingy with yarn, so I don't cut too much of it. I don't cut it too long. So I just cut it so that there's just enough of it to be able to weave in at a different time. But I bring in my gray color, or my dark gray color, and then this is the one that we're gonna kind of work with for the next couple of rows. And what I will do is I will measure this here. I think it's about 2.5 inches, or about 2. Let me just measure it right now. Don't want to be guessing. So for this is about 2.25. Yeah, about 2.25 for the length of it here. So I will try to do the next couple of set, or this color, to be about the same, so that it has the same number of rows for each of the stripe, or the same number of size. Okay, now that I have that here, I'm gonna just kind of hold it behind my hand like this, and I'll bring the new color in and complete my slip stitch there like this, or like this stitch there. Okay, and then now that I have that, I'm going to do a chain of 1 again. So your chain 1 does not count as a stitch. And then I will turn. And now that I've turned it in that same stitch here, I'm going to go ahead and complete a half double crochet, because keep in mind our chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch. And then into the next stitch, I will go in and complete a half double crochet. And then in the next stitch, and then in the next stitch, and then in this case here, we just continue to work the number of rows, the number of stitches is going to be the same, 92, and we're just going to continue to repeat this all around again. So we're going to do this all the way to here. When we get back to here, come back to the video, I will show you how to start the next row, and that's going to be a repeat row for the number of rows you're going to be doing in this color to get the same size as the black block. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, what I do with this here, just so I don't lose it or it doesn't come apart on me, I just do a knot. I do 2 knots usually, so that's one, and then I do a second one to just kind of make sure it's secured in that spot there. Okay, so go ahead and do your half double crochet stitches all around the band again until you come back to here. When you get back to your final stitch here, come back to the video. I will show you how to start the next row, and then I will talk about how we then kind of work the rest of the next part of the project. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed my first row in the gray here, and as you can see, that is pretty much how it looks. So again, I just counted my stitches and I make sure that I have 92, and that is just so that you don't increase or decrease. If you do, it probably doesn't make a big difference if it's just a stitch here or there, but I think it will matter more if you actually lose a stitch and end up having less, because the measurement of how it fits depends on that. And obviously you don't want it to be too tight that you cannot even get it up the widest part of your hip. Okay, so I have completed my final half double crochet there. So now I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch on top of the stitch from the previous row, okay, the chain 1 that we started with. And so this completes the second row for the gray color, and then I'm going to do a chain of 1 and turn. And while I turn, I just kind of flip it like this as well, so it's easy to work with. And because it doesn't count as a stitch, in that same stitch here, I'm going to complete a half double crochet, and then I go to the next and then complete a half double crochet, and then to the next a half double crochet, and then I just go ahead and work my half double crochets all around, and I will do that until I get back here. So my final stitch will go right here, and then I'll slip stitch on top of this, chain 1, turn, and then just repeat what we have done until I have about 2.5 inches. So I'm gonna do about 6 rows of this and then see. And if it is about this length here, or just a little bit close to this length here, then I will change the color. So I may come back to show you guys how to change the color. I may not, but we'll see. But it's very easy. You just do the change of color the way we did the change of color right here from the black to the gray. And then you will do all the same thing. You do the same number of rows that you did in this, that you will have done in this gray, in the black again, and then you continue that. But let me work the number of rows here, and I will show you how to change the color. And then I will be able to tell you how long to work it before we need to separate and have work the 2 legs. Okay, so I will see you guys when you finish the number of rows in the gray that is equivalent to this length here. Okay, my lovelies, I have gone ahead and completed 6 rows of the gray color here. So as you can see, this is pretty much almost the same, just a couple of centimeters off, but it's pretty much almost the same width as this here, which is what I wanted to do. So 6 rows for me is exactly what I needed for that. So now I have finished my 6th row here. I'm gonna go ahead and slip stitch, or do almost a slip stitch of joining the color here, of finishing off this row, and I want to join the colors. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut my yarn somewhere there, and I'm gonna go ahead and bring in the black color again, because now we're gonna work again with the black, and we're gonna do 6 rows of the black and then go back to the gray and then back to the black, and this is how the rest of this project is gonna end up going. But with changing the color here, so every time I change the color, this is pretty much how I do. Instead of slip stitching and following all the way through, I stop here and then I just go ahead and bring the next color in like that, and then I do my chain 1 and turn. And then what I will do is, just like I did this, I will knot this section here so that it doesn't unravel on me. And as I work on my project as well, I just keep flipping it so that it's easier for me to work with it. So our chain 1 here doesn't count as a stitch, so which means I'm gonna go into that same stitch here and complete my half double crochet. Okay, so as you can see, as I'm working on it, it's pulling and making it loose, so I'll tie these here. And then I just move on to the next stitch and I go ahead and complete my half double crochet, and into the next I go ahead and do my half double crochet, and I continue these all around until I come back to where we are here. And then at that point on, I go ahead and slip stitch and then do chain one, turn, and then repeat what we have done. So this here is pretty much what we do from now on. And I'm gonna talk to you guys a little bit about how to do increases. In case you want to do increases, so I will actually do a little bit of an increase on mine. This is gonna fit me, like as you can see, it kind of, let me just do this. I'm gonna end up losing this here, so I'm just gonna do the knot because I don't want it to come apart. So two, just like I did the other one, and then we just leave it like this in case we need to undo anything. So as you can see, this is pretty much how my my pants will pretty much go down like this. So this is my waist here, and then they're gonna go down. And so as you can see, it does spread out like this a little bit, and this is quite wide enough for me, for my hips to come through. But I would like the around the hips particularly to be a little bit looser than this. So what I will do is I will complete this row here, and for the second row I will start doing some increases on it, and that will allow me to make, as it goes around my hips, it's gonna allow it to be a little bit looser than this part here, which is my waist portion of the pants. Okay, so what I will do is I will work this row to the end. When we get to beginning here, we will slip stitch, and then I will show you how to do the increases when we start the next row. Okay, so I will see you guys then. Okay, my lovelies, I have completed this first row of the black here, and as you can see, I'm back to the beginning of this row. So I will go ahead and slip stitch on top of the previous stitch like that, and then I'm gonna start the next row. So this is where I'm gonna show you guys how to increase. The way you increase is pretty much gonna be how wide you want it to be. You can increase it very frequently in the rows or in the stitches, or you can increase it very long after a couple of stitches. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So I will obviously start by doing my chain one and turning, and I'm flipping at the same time, and then I will do a half double crochet in that stitch. Okay, just like this, and then I will do a half double crochet for the next 10 stitches, and I will increase my work after every 10 stitches. And that means that out of my 60 or however many stitches that I had here, I'm going to increase every 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So this is 10 where I don't increase. And then in the 11th and in the 11th, I'm going to increase by going into the 11th one time and then 2 times into the same stitch like that. So now increased here, and then for the next 10 I don't increase, so I just do my normal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, no increases. In my 11th, I do 2 half double crochets into the same stitch. Okay, so that's how I'm going to increase for the remaining of this row. And so this is just one way of how you want to increase. So what I have decided with mine is that I will increase by 10 in this every 10 stitches in this row. The next row I don't do any increases. The row after that, I do the exact same thing. I increase after every 10. And then in the next after that, I don't increase. And then in the final, which is my 6th, I am going to increase. Okay, so if you were looking at it like these stitches here, the first row here I didn't increase, in the second I am. In the third I don't increase, in the fourth I do. In the fifth I don't increase, in the sixth I do. Okay, so that is how I choose to increase here, and then that's gonna be it for my increases, and then the rest of the rows I just work them the same way. Now that's gonna obviously make this area of the work kind of go quite wide because we are increasing. And if I'm increasing by 10 here, so every 10 here, so it means I increase here, I increase here, I probably increase somewhere here, somewhere here, somewhere here, somewhere here. So let's say I maybe increase by like about 6 to 7 stitches in this row. So that means I have 7 extra stitches in this row. In the next I don't, and then I increase by probably another 6, 7 to 8 in the next row, and I just continue to do them like that for 3 rows. So there will be 3 rows that are increasing in the next 6 rows, and I'm alternating where I increase, I don't increase, I increase, I don't increase, and then I increase, and then finally I will increase in the 6th one. And then when that's done, I will go ahead and change the color back to the gray, and then I just work my 6 rows, no increases anymore. So I'm only increasing in this batch of the next black here. And then after that, I don't increase at all. I work the next set of rows in the gray without increasing, and that's how I will continue to do my work for this part of it. Now, when do we know when to stop? What you will do is you will grab your tape measure, and what I do is I place my tape measure exactly where I want my pants to go, so that from the top. So for me, for example, I want mine to go from the belly button down. So I'm gonna place this right on my belly button, and I'm gonna measure to see how long it goes until the beginning of the opening of my legs. Okay, so I'm pretty much, let's say my belly button is right here. I'm gonna place my tape measure like this, and I'm gonna go down, and let's say the opening on my legs is at 8 inches. Then I will make sure that this length here is 8 inches. So I will work my work like this until I get to 8 inches, and that's where I will stop. And then I'll come back to the video to show you guys how to start to create the opening of the legs here, or the division of the legs, where we work on one leg and then the other. But you're gonna determine exactly how long you do it based on your measurement of where you want it to start and where it goes to where the legs open. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do that as well. When I complete that, I'm gonna come back to the video, and then I'm gonna show you guys how to do the division. And we might as well have to decrease the legs so that it's tight, because these pants are meant more to be on the tight on the leg, so it's gonna hug you as opposed to it being loose. So I will talk about that based on how wide this section is in relation to how wide your legs are. Okay, so we will talk about all of that when we come back. But for now, just build this part of the project, and then come back when you have reached the length that you want here. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and worked the number of rows that I require until it gets to the opening of my legs. And as you can see, I just finished my 6th row in the gray color. So I will go ahead and end these here. So again, I just do a slip stitch, bring it through. I'm gonna bring it all the way through like this for now, and I'm gonna leave that there. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm gonna position my pants like this. So as you can see, I just put the beginning and the end of the row on one side. I often don't like to put these as a seam to the back or the front. I do it on the side like this. You may see some crocheters who will want to do it like this, so that this is the back of your of whatever it is, whether it's a skirt or shorts or pants. I like to have it on the side, so I often end up flipping my work like this. Okay, so the most important thing is that we needed this length here to be from where you want your pants to start and where the leg opening is. So when I measure mine, let's do it like this so you can see it in the way that it would actually go on the body. So if I put it like this, I put it from my belly button down, and it comes to 8 inches, and this is where my leg opening begins. Just right where it starts to open, this is where it's about 8 inches. Okay, now that I have that, I'm going to obviously change the color here, but we're also going to section out the leg, the 2 legs. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do a slip stitch here and then cut off the yarn. So we're gonna just do slip stitch. Oops, let's go back like this. We're gonna go like this, slip stitch, and then we're gonna cut these off somewhere there. and then we're gonna just kind of do a chain one and pull it through. Okay, so this is where we end this color, and then we're also going to place it like this for the opening of our legs. Okay, so to be able to start the work where we work one leg and then the other, I just placed it flat like this, and this would be the where we ended the project here. And this corner, I'm gonna separate my pens right in the middle here. So the first thing I often do is, because I have it flat like that, I just put a stitch marker somewhere here, let's say here, and then on the opposite side I do the same. And it's not quite accurate, because what I will do is I will actually count my stitches like this and then this side. So I will do this off camera really quick, do the same. What you will do is I just start where the stitch marker is, and I go around all the way to where the other stitch marker is, and then I do the same. And if I'm off by a couple of stitches, I just move my stitch marker based on exactly where the halfway point is. Okay, I'm gonna do that off camera. I'm gonna adjust my stitch markers, and then I'm gonna come back and we will look at exactly where the middle is, and then we can start working on the opening of our legs here. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and just counted my stitches, and I placed my stitch markers here halfway. So I have 52 stitches on this side, and I have 52 stitches on this side, and each of what I put the stitch marker on is the 53 for each side. Okay, so this puts my work right in the middle like that. So the next thing that you will need to do here is you need to measure the circumference of each leg like this. Okay, so if we take a tape measure and we measure just half of what we have here, I have about 8.5. Okay, so 8.5 multiplied by 2, I have about 19. So it's 8 by 8 is 16, and then the half on this side and the other side is 17. So I have 17 inches around here. Okay, so this is 17 inches. And for example, for me, the circumference of the widest part of my leg comes up to about 20, but I want it, that is if it's really tight. So, but I will probably increase it to about 24, something like that. So then I have to take this 24 and divide it by 2. Then I get my 12. This should be go up to 12 here. So I have already 17 here, and I have up to here, and I need to be able to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need to be able to get 7 inches in between here. Okay, so what I will do, and this is obviously there's a stretch to it, so I have a stretch here. So what I will actually do in totality here, instead of going to 27, doing 7 inches extra, I will probably do about, let's say, 4 inches extra. So in the middle, I'll probably do that much extra, because this is gonna add on to this here. And then the stretch of it is gonna be what I need, because I do need these are tight pants. So we're gonna do it so that it's not too loose, that there is, it kind of hugs your leg a little bit. If you wanted to do it loose, then you would have done a lot more than that. Okay, I hope that makes sense how I'm explaining it. I think you guys will kind of just understand what I'm trying to say here. In other words, just make the circumference of each leg here comfortable enough to go through the widest part of your thigh, so that it's not gonna get stuck while you're trying to pull it up your thigh. Okay, so to be able to start one of the legs, I'm going to pretty much do a slip stitch here, just something like this. Okay, and then to be able to work on the right side, I'm gonna start working on this side here. So just right where my stitch marker is, I'm going to remove the stitch marker, and I'm going to go right into that stitch here, and I'm gonna bring it back. Oops, we're gonna put it through first. So we're gonna go like this, and then bring back the loop from the slip. Boy, what am I doing here? Yeah, I'm missing that gap. We're just gonna put it through the loop there, and then bring it through like this. And then we're going to do a chain that will come up to about 4 inches. So I'm trying to increase this section here by 4 inches. So let's start by doing a chain of 10 and see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And as you can see, it's not gonna be the 4 inches that I'm looking for. So we're gonna place this here. I have 3 inches, so let's do about, let's say 3 more. 1, 2, 3. And we will see if it gets us the 10 inches that we need, or the 4 inches that we need. So here to here, it's about 3.5. So I'm gonna leave it here. So 13 stitches that I have in the middle here. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove this and put it to the other side. And I'm gonna pretty much slip stitch to the other side. So this is where my stitch marker was. I'm just gonna go ahead and slip stitch here like this. Okay. So there, now I have this gap here that is going to be my leg hole, and then of course the other side is going to be the other side of the leg hole. But we need to be able to work on this side of our work, so we need to continue working this way. So I just pivot it a little bit like this, and then I am going to go ahead and start by doing a chain of 1, and in that same stitch I'm going to do a half double crochet. So your chain 1 here doesn't count as a stitch. Then I will go into the next stitch and complete a half double crochet, and then in the next stitch do a half double crochet, in the next stitch do a half double crochet, and then I just continue this around until I get back to the base of the chain on the other side right here. So do the same, go around like this. When you get to here, come back to the video and I will show you how to work yourself across this here to come back to this side. Okay, so go ahead and finish that, and I'll see you guys when you get to the base of the chain on the other side. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked myself around here with this black color, and as you can see, I am at the base of the other side here. I've done my half double crochet here, so I will go into that same stitch where we slip stitched on and do my another half double crochet there. And then what I will do here is now work myself along the chain, and all I have to do is just pivot the chain so that it's facing up, so that I have the stitches to go into. So I will just go ahead and pretty much pick up the first chain on this side here and complete my half double crochet, and then pick up the next and complete my half double crochet, and then the next. So keep in mind we have 13 chains that we completed here, or however many you did. Just make sure you are going through all the 13 or the number of chains that you did for the middle part here, just so that you're not losing some of the chains. Sometimes you can even do extra, because the beginning here and the end here can be a little bit difficult to kind of make sure you're going into those stitches as well. You can do extra so that if you do skip them by accident or whatever the case is, you're not losing your chains here. But make sure you're counting to make sure you have the number of chains or the number of stitches corresponding to the chains that you started with. Okay, so we go ahead and just kind of work ourselves across the top here. And as you can see, I have this one, and then I have one more at the very end here that I have to make sure I work into. And then now I have come to the top of where we started. And so this is the moment that I will now slip stitch to this, because this is where we started our project right here. Okay, now because we work this project around and around, I will chain 1 and turn, because now I need to work on the back this way, because otherwise the pattern is not going to look the same as this. So now that I have turned, I am going to do my slip. I did my chain 1 and turned in that same stitch here, because the chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch. I'm going to complete a half double crochet and then go into the next stitch and then work my half double crochets all around until I come back to this area here, where we will slip stitch, turn, and then start the next row. Okay, so for this section here, I am going to go ahead and complete this row, and then I will meet you guys when you get back to this section here. And when you get here, I will also show you how to just start that third row, and then I will explain how then you need to work the rest of the leg going forward. And if you do need to decrease, I will explain how you can decrease as well. because again, these pens, as you can see by the title, they are tight pens as opposed to the loose ones that I've done in the past on the channel. Okay, so again, you have a stitch here, you just work that across and then you go into the next stitch. And so work what you're doing here all across, and then when you get back here, come back to the video and I will show you what to do for the next row. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed my second row here. So as you can see, I'm back to the base here. So I have done my last half double crochet there, and then I'll slip stitch on top of that chain one that we started with to finish this row like this. Okay, so and then I will chain one and turn. So this is pretty much where we just kind of continue to repeat this until we have the length that we have for our leg. So again, in that same stitch, I will complete my first half of double crochet because the chain one doesn't count as a stitch. And then I just continue my half double crochets all around. Okay, and then I do the same. I get back to here, I slip stitch, I chain one, I turn, and I start my half double crochet stitches from the very first stitch. Okay, so this is pretty much what I'm gonna be working on. So I'm gonna just talk a little bit about the nature of our pens here. So again, this is going to end up being the width of my leg, okay, because it goes from here to here. So make sure as you're working here, one thing that I often do, if you don't trust your measurements that well, one thing that I often do is when I have a few rows here, I go ahead and try these on and make sure that it's coming up my thigh very easily. It has the comfort level that I want. And then if it is, I continue. If it's not, I just undo. Let's say I will finish this third row just so I have enough of a solidness to be able to try it on. And then I will try. And then if it doesn't look like it's the right size, whether it's too big or too small, I will undo these 3 rows, come back to the middle here where we started the chain, and either increase or decrease depending on whether it was too loose or too tight. Okay, so this is because I work with measure to fit as opposed to these exact same number of chains give you this size, or this number of chains give you that size. So I don't work like that. Okay, so I will do the same as I just advised you guys, where I will try these on after the end of this row. And if it is the size that I want, I just continue and I do 6 rows in this black. I switch my yarn to the gray, I do 6 rows, and then I build my leg like that. Okay, so that's one thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about. The second thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is if you want to decrease this, let's say you work down your thigh and then you kind of want it to continue be a little bit tighter, because as your leg goes down, it becomes skinnier. So let's say you want to make this so that it gets a little bit smaller than where you have it at the thigh section. You can do the decrease as well. The way you would do it, obviously, is you will just see how many chains you want to decrease it by. I often just recommend you decrease every other couple of every other chunk of sections you decrease, and then see how that goes. And then if it doesn't, if it looks big still, you can go to the next row. After the decrease row, you do a row without a decrease, and the next row after that you can decrease a little bit more, and that way you're decreasing it gradually and not all of a sudden it goes from a wide area to like a small area right away. So it decreases gradually. Okay, I will try mine on after I have past the widest, like the big part of my thigh. And if I see that it becomes too buggy and I want to decrease it, I will come back to the video to show you guys how I will decrease mine. Okay, so I'll see you guys then. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked a little bit of the leg here, as you can see. So I just came back to talk to you guys about a few changes that I've made, and also to explain the decreases that you would do to make your leg get smaller as it goes down. Okay, so the first change that I made was here. So I did actually had initially worked from here to here, which was, I thought it was gonna be enough for me. Because I measured between where I want my work to start to where the opening of my legs is, and it happened to be here. But the difference here is I have a bigger back. So measuring from the front, it's okay, but with a bigger back, this makes it really tight because it doesn't actually pull up the back very easily and comfortably, and then it also rides a lot lower than I wanted it to be. So what I did was I just undid whatever I had started for the leg, and I added 6 more rows in the black. So as you can remember in the previous clip, I stopped at the gray and then I started the leg opening. But I actually undid that, and then I added 6 more rows of this to give me the amount that would actually come over the back of my body easily. And also it doesn't ride as low, it goes to the point that I wanted it to be. So that's one change. That's not gonna affect you at all how you do it. Unless you do have a bigger backside, then maybe the measurements will not be as accurate as I had given you previously. So in that case, then you would have to do the same thing that I did here. So I apologize for that. And then I started my leg opening. So nothing here changes. I did the same thing that I showed you guys, but with this gray color. I did 6 rows, 6 rows, 6 rows, and I did 6 rows all the way down, but with the exception of the decrease. So what I did here for the legs, because as you can see, it gets smaller as it goes down. So what I did was I did these rows here without any decrease. So this gray color here, I did this black, I did this without any decrease, and I did this black without any decrease. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks without any decreases. And then what I did was, as soon as I did this gray color, I worked the normal without any decreases for 5 rows, and in the 6th row I did decreases every 10 stitches. So I did 10 half double crochets without any decrease, and then in the 11th, 12th I put those two together, and then I did that pattern all around until I come back to the end of the row. I disconnect, and then I did the black. So I did the first 5 rows of the black with just normal half double crochets, and then for the 6th row I repeated the exact same thing I did here, which is every 10 stitches I did a decrease, which is putting 11 and 12 together, and then I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 regular half double crochets, 11, 12 I put them together, and I just repeated that around. And then I did the same for this, I did the same for that, and I did the same for that. Okay, so as you can see, my leg is now as small as I would like it to be. So when I start doing my next row here, which is going to be in black, I am going to do it just regular half double crochet. So I'm no longer decreasing from this point on, because I think it's become enough. It's enough of a width of it that I don't want to make it too tight. Okay, and just so you guys know, this length here is taking it goes until just below my knee. So this hits just like my knees around here, and then this goes just right below my knee. So I still have from here all the way down to my calf that I need to work. Okay, and the other reason also kind of came back before I completed is that this is all I have left in this yarn. It's not even full. This is some of it. I've used some of it here. So instead of finishing this leg and then I will have nothing absolutely to do this second leg with, I decided to stop and come back and show you guys how to start this side of the leg, and then that way I can finish finish this yarn here with this, and then hopefully I can find it again in the store, because I did go back to the store twice and I cannot find these exact colors in the store like this. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do the one of the side of the legs here, and then you're gonna just repeat. Obviously, if you have yarn, you're gonna finish these all the way, so you will finish this leg until you have the length that you want. And then I will show you how to do this, and then you will repeat the same thing we did on that side with this until the end of the length that you want. But for me, I'm going to show you how to do this, and then in the meanwhile I'll try to find the same yarn to be able to finish my project. And then when I finish, I will come back to the video, obviously, to show you guys that I finished. Another option that I have is I may end up finding only this color or only this color. In that case, then I'll just finish the rest of the project with whatever color I have, as opposed to continuing with this pattern of the stripes like this. So that is my dilemma for now. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'll show you guys how to do the second leg. So as you can see, we are working on this side. So we joined our work here earlier, and then we did the bridge here to be able to work our leg, and then we went on this side and worked. So what I will do here is just want to make sure I have this kind of positioned properly. Okay, so this is where we started the project. So I am going to put it on this side here. I just want to make sure I have the right side. Okay, so I have just placed my work here. So the side where we actually started our work to do the bridge here is on the opposite side. So it's under the top. So you're going to flip it like this. And then you're going to connect your yarn right here so we can work around like this. Okay, so we're going to go like this. So the first thing that I will do is I will do a slip knot with my yarn, my gray yarn here like this. Okay, I'm going to remove my hook and I'm going to put it right in this area here. Then I'm going to bring my hook through that loop and then bring it through. Okay, I'm just going to bring it through like this. I'm going to do a chain 1 and then I am going to work in that stitch, that same stitch there, and I'm going to do a half double crochet in the next stitch. Sorry, so this is here. In the next stitch I do a half double crochet. And then I'm going to go into the next stitch right here and do a half double crochet. And then into the next stitch, do a half double crochet. Okay, so from this point on, I just do my half double crochets on every stitch all the way until I connect back to this side here. So I'm going to do it here until I get to here. And then, of course, we're going to continue across like this, but come back when you have reached right here so I can show you how to kind of just finish off and cross over to the other side, okay? So all you're doing is just repeating your half double crochets. And as you can see here, I'm weaving my yarn in that I just had hanging as I go so that I don't have to do it at a later time. And you don't have to do this. If you prefer to weave it in at a later time, please do so. I just have the opportunity to do that here with this particular stitch, okay? So go ahead and do your half double crochets all across. When you get to the end of where the black ends here, because before you cross over to the gray, come back to the video and I will show you what to do there, okay? See you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked my half double crochet in the gray, as you can see here, all across. And as you can see, I am just about to go into this final stitch here. So I'm gonna go right into that and complete a half double crochet. And then as you can see, we're just gonna cross over to the gray and just do our half double crochet on top of every stitch across, okay? The only thing that you will notice here is that these stitches are very, very, very small. So what I do is I just go through these big gaps here, okay? So I just do my half double crochet right under here, and then I go into the next space and go and do my half double crochet right there, and then right there. And then I just continue this across the bridge here. This is the bridge that we created earlier to be able to have our two legs separation. Okay, so I will just go across this really quick here, and then I will show you how to connect to the other side and then how to start the next row. And then I will have you guys pretty much work the rest of it here, because there's nothing else different to be done. If you're decreasing, then you will follow the decrease pattern that I did earlier, that I explained to you earlier. If you're not decreasing, then you just continue with your stitches the same way. So as you can see here, this gap here in the middle is quite big because this is the gap that we worked pretty much most of the stitches here into. I will go into that gap here and do a half double crochet. But then I will go and do a slip stitch on top of that chain 1 that we started that row with, just like this, okay? If you want, you can find a way to close these at a later time. Sometimes I take like either the black wool or the gray, and then I will just kind of bring it and kind of shut this area here. Okay, but for me, it doesn't matter. These kind of pants, I will probably most likely wear it with something underneath so that it doesn't have too much of a gap. The other way that you can fix that, let's see if we can fix it right now, is instead of going into this big gap here, we could just go underneath like this and go into that other space here. And then you can slip stitch. It reduces the space a little bit, not too much, but it reduces a little bit like that. So you can also do something like that. Okay, and then you chain 1 and turn, and now you're gonna work your half double crochets across back the other way, and this doesn't count as a stitch, so you're gonna go into that same stitch and do a half double crochet into that space like that, and then go into the next stitch and do a half double crochet, and then into the next stitch, and then you just do these all across again like this. And then when you get to here, you will do your final half double crochet here, slip stitch on top of this stitch, chain one, turn, and then repeat. Okay, so I'm not gonna be able to explain to you guys all of it from here to the end, because you just have to repeat at this point on. So but I will just kind of quickly explain to you guys again what I did to decrease. So again, this first row here, this first block here of the gray, I don't decrease. In the next block of black, I don't decrease. In the next gray, I don't decrease. In the next black, I don't decrease. And then I start my decreases with the gray, which is where I do 5 rows of half double crochet, not in decreases. In the 6th row, I decrease every 10 stitches. And then the black, I do 5 rows of non-decrease, and then in the 6th row, I do the decreases by again doing the same thing. At every 10 rows, I decrease. And then I do the same, and I do that. So I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do 5 blocks of decreases. Okay, but again, it's only 1 row in the gray that I decrease. I decrease 1 row in the black, 1 row in the gray, 1 row in the black, 1 row in the gray. And then when I pick up again here, whether it's going to be the black or whatever color I will find to be able to finish my project, I don't decrease anymore. I just work the rest of the length without any decreases. And so I will do the exact same thing on this side. I will repeat the exact same thing, where I will do the gray here, 6 rows, the black, the gray, the black, and then the next gray I will decrease. Okay, so that is what we're gonna do here. Finish both legs. So make sure you finish this leg as well as the first, by making sure you go all the way to how long you want your pants to be. When you have finished all of that, come back, and I really hope I come back and it looks the same in terms of the colors. If not, I will work with what I have. I may finish it with whatever colors I have, just to be able to finish the project. Okay, but for now, I will see you guys when you have completed your project. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed the pants here. So as you can see, it's pretty much done. These are the legs here, as you can see. So again, you will see that the legs kind of go in a little bit here in terms of, it's a little bit hard to see. Let me show you one leg at a time. So as you can see with the leg, it begins a little bit wider up here, and then it gets thinner because we start to reduce around here. And then as you can see, it pretty much kind of ends like that. Okay, so as you can also see that I did a lot more rows for the last black here. So I wanted to end the bottom with the black, and I did these here, but when I did 6 rows in the black, it was just a tiny bit short, and I really did not want to end it in the gray, so I just added a few more rows in the black instead. So altogether for the final patch here, I have 12 rows as opposed to the 6 that we have been doing for the whole project alone. Okay, so that is the difference there. The other thing that I did as well is I took some of the gray yarn that I had left over, and I just did a chain of I think 220, which is very long, as you can see. And then I just kind of put it right around my my waistband here to become a strap for that I can pull to be able to have my pants tie up properly. Okay, I don't need it at all, but I often just do it in case I need it. As you know, weights fluctuate. Sometimes you gain, sometimes you lose, and I would rather not run out of yarn and not have the enough yarn to be able to do this at a later time. So I just do it now so that it's here anyways. If I need it, I need it. If I don't, I don't. Okay, so that's what I did here. So yeah, these are pretty much the end. So the pictures will obviously show you better how this looks, but this is pretty much the pants that we're doing here. Okay, now, okay, so for those of you who are doing pants for the first time, these are very simple projects for you to do. In the future, I will be doing other pants that are a little bit more complicated, so you guys can see. I do have shorts on the channel as well that you guys can see, so go ahead and check those out as well. But for now, I'm gonna end this video here. Thank you so much again for watching to the end. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, share, all of that good stuff. That really does help me, and I really appreciate that. and I hope you to see you guys in the next one. Bye.